It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
1969, America wins the space race by putting men on the moon, and it puts the U.S. on top of worldwide technology for decades. Now, almost 50 years later, American astronauts depend on Russia, of all countries, to get us back into space.
It should be seen as a pretty big scandal that after all the billions we spend every year, we're currently sending Americans into space on Russian rockets, and we literally could not get an American into space on an American vehicle right now.
Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich joins the chorus of Americans asking this question: what happened to America's space dominance? What began as Gemini and Apollo led to the Space Shuttle program, which survived the Challenger and Columbia explosions to send 300 astronauts into space over 3 decades. Now the U.S. teams with other countries to run the International Space Station, but it's a Russian spacecraft that gets our astronauts there. Factors include lack of vision, money, and public support. It led to America falling behind other countries, but NASA employees remain steadfast.
That vision has changed, it's expanded throughout the years. And there are different reasons for it, whether it's economic or political. But at the end of the day, NASA is about exploring.
It's also become about something else: government red tape.
We now have bureaucracies that are so desperate to avoid failure that they both limit the risks they take, and they take far too long to study what's going on, as though they could anticipate every problem. And it's a big problem for us.
NASA maintains the book is nowhere near closed on the space program. They're just tuning up for another big splash.
The Atlantis program was around for 26 years, and during that time, it really gave Americans a sense of pride, really proud to be an American. But what's next for NASA? Well, the answer: a mission to Mars.
With that in mind, NASA launched the unmanned Orion vehicle into space.
And liftoff at dawn, the dawn of Orion, and a new era of American space exploration.
Orion's December mission proved successful, a test run, if you will, before NASA attempts to send astronauts to Mars sometime in the next decade.
Ultimate goal is to send humans to Mars and return them safely. So once we send someone beyond low Earth orbit again, back to that cislunar space, or to an asteroid, or to eventually to Mars, we will continue to invigorate, this country and show that we still are the leaders in space exploration.
NASA will get financial backing, as President Obama's current budget does not cut its funding. That means we may soon see a robotic spacecraft capture an actual asteroid and bring it close to the moon, so astronauts can eventually explore it. It also clears the way for private companies like Boeing to continue partnering with NASA to build spacecraft that could resume taking Americans to the International Space Station instead of the Russians. It's bringing back a lost excitement, and Gingrich would like to see young Americans embrace the future potential.
We should be saying to 14, 15, 16-year-olds, go into engineering, go into astronautics, go into aeronautics, learn how to do the things that will make you one of the great pioneers of the next generation. We should be arousing a generation of excited explorers.
Right now, it's not just NASA exploring new horizons. Private companies like Virgin Galactic are also hard at work, designing and testing rockets to take people like you and me up into space. Gingrich brings an even bolder idea to the table. How about using cold, hard cash to reward people for breaking new ground? There's precedent for it. Aviator Charles Lindbergh took home 25 grand for the first nonstop flight across the Atlantic in his Spirit of St. Louis.
If we had $1 billion prize for the first vehicle to take people to the moon and keep them there for, say, 60 days, you'd have lots of people. The guys who currently buy football teams would start buying a competition in space.
It makes for a fascinating new challenge as America looks to once again explore uncharted territory. David Brody, CBN News, at Cape Canaveral in Florida.